got a lot to talk about. I'll be in town on the 28th of February. Can you clear your calendar?
Absolutely, Dr. King. Good Lord, do I have some questions for you, sir. Hi, it's Tavis.
Assalamu alaikum, my brother. This is Minister Malcolm. Now, I heard that you and Martin are getting together for a public dialogue on February 28th. You see, now I already know the date. Now, I know y'all not trying to keep me out of that conversation, are you?
No, sir. No, sir.
What happened to George Floyd shouldn't happen, not even to a dog. How long must the Negro continue to endure this foolishness at the hands of law enforcement? People can take but so much before they reach a breaking point.
What do you mean, Black Lives Matter? Black lives haven't mattered in this country since Negroes stopped working for free at the end of slavery. You ought to be talking about Black Guns Matter and start your own NRA. Call it the Negro Revolutionary Amalgamation.
Don't miss this compelling historic radio event, The Return. When Tavis Smiley converses with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. Tuesday, February 28th, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money P. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not too serious. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tavis Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis, go sis, go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First, TGIF. My first thing every single day of the week, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and kicking it off, getting it going. Ooh, we have got a jam-packed show today, and it's a good thing. You're part of it, by the way. You're on the agenda. So Hour one, we do local. We do the left coast. We sweep around our own front door. Hour two, we go national, international, and way on out to the space station. And hour three, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. You're welcome to call the whole time, 800-920-1580. Any hour, 800-920-1580. So we typically don't have guests in hour two, but we will be joined today by the family of Keenan Anderson. Patrice Cullors will be with us, and Keenan Anderson's younger sister, whose name happens to be Dominique Anderson. They'll be joining us so the family can tell their side of the story, because you notice law enforcement is busy spreading their version. And then in hour three, we're going like full-on goofy Fun Friday with comedian Pierre. So should be quite a show, but I'm happy to have my friend. She's now officially a KBLA contributor. She's a labor organizer, activist, was really instrumental in the fight for $15 an hour minimum wage. Of course, we're moving beyond that now, but at the time, that was a big ask. And she used to be an organizer with the L.A. Black Worker Center. Sherri Bell, hi, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Dominique. How's it going?
All is well. How are you?
Doing good.
Okay, you're almost like, we're on YouTube, by the way, too. YouTube.com. Just type in KBLA 1580. So you're going to see me stand up right now and mess with Sherri's mic. Now you're a full on radio person. So yeah, so you got to be all. See how like I'm all up on.
Okay.
She's demure. No, but anyway, man, thank you. I didn't actually get up. She moved. Okay. So and then Miles came in. Say hi to Miles. What? It's Friday around here. So there is a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the city. I feel like I see you everywhere. I saw you at the labor breakfast, which was, the L.A. County Federation of Labor brings people together for Martin Luther King's birthday every year. Right. What did you think?
I thought it was very, very, great. I mean, they had the gospel choir.
Yes.
Yvonne Wheeler, the first Black female president of the LA Labor Fed, which is an exciting time for labor in Los Angeles. I really enjoyed the message about they're going to make sure that everybody eat, and it's about equity, and it's about fighting poverty, with good jobs. And so I was really motivated. I love that breakfast because it really motivates and set the tone for the year. So
I was impressed that Yvonne Wheeler, who just ascended to the leadership of the LA Fed in the ashes of the horrifying City Hall scandal with, Cedillo, De Leon, and Martinez, and of course, Ron Herrera, that she addressed it. I just thought she would say, hey, Martin Luther King's birthday, let's keep it moving. But no, she went right into the sore spot.
Yeah, address the elephant in the room.
For sure. I thought that was so brave. Demonstrating leadership and saying, like, no, this is not who we are.
Right. And I mean, it's reflected. You can see it in the staff, hopefully with more, hiring, more diversity. But, I mean, that's the Black labor and has always been a part of the Fed. Hopefully now with new leadership, you will see that reflected more, in their, makeup and policy initiatives and things like that. So
I think that she was also kind of putting forth a call to action for all of labor to be more inclusive, and I think that's. I mean, it's been a work in progress because not, like everything in America, we are not always given a seat at the table.
Right.
So we just have to take that seat at the table. It was nice to see how enthusiastic people were. Seemed like a lot of unity. And man, that young man from the choir who sung Lift Every Voice and Sing, oh my goodness, that was amazing.
Right.
Anyways, we got a lot to unpack. There are goings on at City Hall that I want to talk about. And one of the things that has come up is exactly what you mentioned, which is what do the staff members of the city council look like? Why don't we see more Black people? And I think it's interesting. I feel like this is going to be an important topic right now because Mayor Karen Bass has put the word out. Apply for city jobs. These are good jobs. They have benefits. They're actually careers. And I know it's true that many times Black people, for whatever reason, we don't apply for those jobs.
Well.
Okay, break it down.
Well, I don't know. I think that I don't know if we don't apply. I don't know. I think that it could be the fact that it's not what you know, it's who you know. So who's pulling those applications?
Yeah.
Because I've been on the other side trying to get in government, and it's a very far-reaching aspiration when you don't know folks and people have in mind already who they want. But I do think it's important for people to build relationships and apply. Like basically where I used to work, LA Black Worker Center, they have a pipeline, for people to apply and have that relationship with HR, with the Bureau of Public Works, Department of Sanitation, to help address that gap. Because when you don't have an intentional effort, sometimes we do get left behind. But then again, I don't have the applicant pool.
Right. Yeah, but it's a good point. And the other thing is, I feel like sometimes there are things that seem like barriers, whether it's some kind of a test or whether like you said, it's who you know
Right.
or the outreach. And so I think the fact that Mayor Bass is coming on KBLA, and everywhere I've seen her, whether it's Black or Latina, she seems to be saying, hey, come get these jobs. So I would imagine she's aware of whatever obstacles might be there in the pipeline.
I mean, yeah, I'm hoping that people are applying and spreading the word for just looking for job. And I also hope that she has her ear about what's going on, once people do apply, to track that, to make sure that folks are actually, that apply are getting a fair shake. At least
Seems like there's an opportunity for some kind of formal partnership with a group like the Black Worker Center, LA Black Worker Center, and maybe some other groups, not, but I'm mostly, thinking about my community, of course, back to sweep around your own front door. The thing about it is, you mentioned in passing that there's a pipeline, and I remember part of that pipeline is preparing people to succeed at those applications, right? So if you're thinking about applying for some of these careers, maybe check in with the LA Black Worker Center.
Maybe check in with the LA Black Worker Center. Look on some online tools about preparing for the civil service exam, because that can be a barrier within itself, because we are in schools, that probably don't prepare us academically to succeed, without intentionally studying for it. So, that's another barrier that we have to get around too, passing that civil service exam.
And in which I imagine there are probably resources to help you do that. We're going to continue this conversation. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about former council member Jose Huizar. Giant news when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Smooth skin begins with hydrating ingredients. Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion nourishes your skin with all-day hydration for deeply moisturized results that give you confidence like buttery soft shoulders like, and visibly smooth skin like. Quench your skin with nourishing moisture from Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion. Try Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash too, and get skin your face will envy.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This Sunday and every Sunday is the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Get free groceries, essential resources, and buy black from local merchants of arts, beauty, custom black merchandise, and more. Choose from a wide variety of cuisines, custom-made clothing, jewelry, and a lot more. Experience the true essence of Africatown at Lamert Park every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Join the Drum Circle, dance, enjoy live performances, connect with other conscious black people. Experience black excellence every Sunday in Africatown at Lamert Park. You can find us on Degnan Boulevard near Vernon and Crenshaw in the heart of Africatown at Lamert Park. That's the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Join us for music, shopping, food, and fun this and every Sunday. Support black businesses, recycle black dollars, and feed your soul. The African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market every Sunday in Africatown at Lamert Park. Brought to you by Africatown Enterprise and the African Village Vendors Association.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima and Sherri Bell and you, 800-920-1580. Now would be a great time to call. I do have, as I said, Patrice Cullors and Dominique Anderson in hour two. Dominique Anderson, the little sister of Keenan Anderson, who died after being repeatedly tased by the Los Angeles Police Department, which now the family will tell their side of the story. And we have comedian Pierre in hour 3. So a lot of good things today, a lot of good information. So former LA City Council member Jose Huizar has decided to plead guilty in that corruption case. And to me, it's wild because he's been denying these charges. Now suddenly he admits that he extorted at least $1.5 million in bribes from real estate developers. And the plea agreement was filed yesterday in federal court. He said that the sweeping corruption allegations that he has been denying were actually true. And by no, I didn't do it, I mean, yes, I actually did. This was kind of a shocker, right?
I mean, I don't understand how he could deny it with all the evidence that came out.
That's true. Well, yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. And then also, I mean, before even Huizar got indicted, like there's been rumblings around City Hall around his pay for play type of rep. So I'm not too surprised, but what I'm thinking about is who's he gonna bring down with him with this plea. Now I don't know if that's he got to bring it down anybody, but
well,
I don't know.
Oftentimes that is what happens. Somebody's going down. Well, the thing about it is that I believe, Mitch Englander, who's also a former city council member, already did his time. We don't know what he told about Huizar. And then there are other, according to the Los Angeles Times, there are other staffers and City Hall insiders who are facing charges of their own that were ready to squeal on Mr. Huizar. Plus, they were going to get his mama to testify, which is really painful. Because apparently she was helping him launder money.
Right.
It's like, Mom, take this check and give me cash. Or it was the other way around. Take this cash and give me a check. And his estranged wife, and it sounded like a really painful trial that we were in for.
Right. And I guess that's why he decided to plead, but it was a lot going on, and it probably just got out of hand. Started off small and snowballed, but I hope this is a lesson to people to stop, because like the interest of the people is not being adhered to, especially with these high price developments. The rent is high. The rent, they say the campaign, the rent is too damn high, and it's because of these developers paying off to get these high price buildings that nobody can afford. The people who can afford to live there come from out of the country. They got so much money, and it's just unfair to the Angelinos. So it's just not a good way to conduct business, especially if you're elected by the people. So,
and I have always felt like, and I don't know if this is possible, but I assume that it is. I have always felt like city council seats and people running for city council and mayor should be barred from taking money from developers, especially city council, because they're the ones that decide land use, what can be used for what and what can be built where. So to me, if you're taking money as part of your campaign, it's a conflict of interest.
Big time.
So to me, police unions and real estate developers should not be allowed to go contribute to the governor, lobby in Sacramento. There's something shady about that too. But to me, it's much more problematic when you come down to the council, because every individual council district has decisions that have to be made about the use of land. And to your point, whether or not anyone can afford those apartments can really determine the future of the people that are actually your constituents who voted you in, and now you are pricing them out.
Oh, yeah. That's how it was with, like, local hire. The people, like, they'll build these buildings with the draw of local hire, but by the time you keep building the folks that are locally there are going to be priced out of living in their communities, because the property value of everything up is going to, around them is going to go up. So
another thing about council member Jose Huizar and that whole corruption situation is that the developers were convicted, right? One of the developers that consistently apparently bribed him, took him to Vegas, got him, poker chips and fancy hotel rooms and prostitutes. It's like an episode of L.A. Law.
It could be a movie.
No, I mean Law and Order. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, or a movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's probably not going to bode well. There's still one more former Deputy Mayor Raymond Chan goes to trial for racketeering February 21st. He's going to, as far as we know so far, he's going to go ahead and fight those charges. But do you think this does have any impact on the council now, the way they'll do business? To me, I don't see it having an impact, for example, on the situation with Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas, because it's such a completely different situation. Weezer was taking money for personal enrichment. He was, getting prostitutes. And what they're accusing Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas of, to me, is what every council member does. Vote to help the major institutions in their district. And, of course, that was supposed to be happening while he was supervisor, not council member anyway. But, if USC is in your district and they have an opportunity to get contracts, why wouldn't you vote for that? To me, that's totally, completely different to me than someone giving you cash in paper bags.
Right.
I don't see it other than in terms of the public perception of corruption in City Hall. But what do you think?
Yeah, I don't believe that that's a fair comparison because there's been a relationship there with MRT and USC before this scandal.
Right.
And
he's an alumni. I mean, not
right.
only that, I'm 100% sure. I haven't done the research, but I'm 100% sure you can go back and look at every council member and every supervisor that has USC in their district, or UCLA in their district for that matter, and they will have voted consistently to send contracts and resources to those massive and important institutions in their districts. I mean, that's one of the things that you're supposed to do is bring home the bacon for your district.
Right. I mean, I definitely don't see that coming to a halt with this administration. I mean, that's how USC has been able to expand so drastically over the course of the years.
That's for sure.
But I guess what hopefully does come to a halt is like being caught up, with looking out for folks so much where it can put you in jeopardy. Like, everybody want to look out for their family, and help folks out. But like when you are doing it in a way that could get you in trouble, it's definitely not the way to go.
Yeah, and I think it's clear, not just locally, but also on the federal level, that the standards are different for Black people than for other people, for Democrats than Republicans. And so we have to be understanding of that, or mindful of that. Joe Biden was in California hanging out with Governor Newsom, looking at how much stuff got jacked up by the storm. Yeah. And that was interesting because Governor Newsom is seen as a threat in that he may run for president in 2024, and he was making extra nice with the president. He said he won't run in 2024. He says that. Do you believe him?
Man, I mean, if he's not running, what is he doing? Like, like he's spending money on ads in Florida, which I'm not mad at him for, right? Yeah. I mean, to me, like being a Californian, Angelino, like he's a star. I feel like he could make it, but nationally, I don't know. Everybody might not look at him as the same, but I personally think that he will make as far as politician goes, a good politician. But he keeps denying that he's running, and that's kind of weird because it's like, well, what about, how is the public going to take it when you announce you are? Like, how are you going to explain the denial?
That's a good point. I mean, also, maybe he's thinking 2028. Maybe he's thinking a long game. I don't know, but it sure does look like he's running. Yeah, that was campaign funding that paid for those billboards, I think. Right? And I'm not sure if I remember correctly in Florida. So, and that is a bit unusual.
Right.
And I don't know why people are skipping over Vice President Kamala Harris.
Oh, my.
If something happens to Joe Biden, she will be the president, whether y'all like it or not.
Look, I'm going to say, it's kind of crazy because like when Karen Bass was like up for that vice presidency, like consideration, like I feel like she came off a lot better now, because the way that they're doing a black woman in that vice president's position, you know, like painting her in this light and just doing her like Obama. You know how they did Obama.
Only worse because she's got the woman factor, right? Why are you laughing? Oh, but if she doesn't smile and laugh, y'all going to say she's an angry black woman.
Right.
But now she giggles too much. Oh, she can't fix immigration. Well, none of our presidents for the past 200 years have fixed immigration. But if Kamala Harris doesn't do it, she's a failure as vice president.
Right.
It's just a lot of narrative rhetoric. And, you know, I just don't think you can count the vice president out ever. I've always felt like there's something about her. It's like it's her destiny to do these things. I know that sounds crazy, but to go from San Francisco district attorney to state attorney general to U.S. senator to vice president, the way she's just gone hop, hop, hop. She is qualified. I'm not saying she's not, but to me, there's almost an epic quality about it that says, well, maybe that's her destiny.
Yeah, I mean,
apparently so far it is.
She won't be the first vice president that became president, so you know there's been
that's true.
Before.
It has happened before. I mean, I'm not wishing anything bad on Joe Biden. And if he steps down, she'd have to compete with meaning if he chooses not to run again, she'd be competing with all these other people that are not black women. So it might be tough.
It might be real tough.
But I just wouldn't count her out.
Yeah, I mean, I will go. I will root for her or, you know, anybody that can take out DeSantis or Trump, those
That's right.
hate mongers.
Can you, what would be really bad is Harris versus Newsom in a Democratic primary.
I mean, hope not.
Yeah, no, I'm Team Kamala, but I'm just saying
Right.
that would be all bad for
That would be pretty tough.
for the Golden State. Yeah, I got some other things on this list, a lot of other things that I want to talk about when we come forward. We've got news, traffic, and sports right here, reminding you it's 800-920-1580. If you want to get in, we would love to talk to you. Me, Dominique DiPrima, and Sherri Bell. We would love to hear from you. 800-920-1580. Renter protections, let's touch on that. And now you're supposed to be recycling leftover food. Did you know that? Yeah, let's get on it. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Good morning, I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. TSA employees are finding more handguns at security checkpoints around the country. TSA officers collected more than 6,500 firearms at checkpoints last year. That surpasses the previous record by 570. The TSA says 88% of the firearms found nationally were loaded. We take you up to the nation's capital now. The annual March for Life in Washington today will cover the familiar route along Constitution Avenue to Capitol Hill, where the route will change. Abortion protesters were turned to walk past the U.S. Capitol instead of going straight to the Supreme Court. March organizers are pressing the House Majority Republicans to restrict how early in pregnancy women can have abortions. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. I sell custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters that are easy to install at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are custom-made for your windows, and I guarantee they'll fit. Don't hire a pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
15 straight wins for UCLA's men's basketball team. The Bruins, ranked 5th in the country, win by 12 last night at Arizona State, 22 points for Tiger Campbell. USC's men's basketball team loses by 15 at Arizona. One of the NBA's top box office attractions is in town tonight. John Moran and the Memphis Grizzlies take on the Lakers at Crypto.com. Memphis is the NBA's hottest team with an 11-game winning streak. Tip-off at 7 on ESPN. The Clippers are in San Antonio tonight. Chargers GM Tom Telesco met with the media yesterday. He said head coach Brandon Staley will be back next season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. Tomorrow night at 7 here on KBLA Talk 1580, join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for Out of Bounds, the show where we bring some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We've got a lot to talk about.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
Hi, I'm Dominique DiPrima. You may think it's too early, but tax season is now. Whether you're filing individual or business taxes, there are benefits to filing your taxes. You can qualify for loans and grants, improve your credit profile, and get into compliance with the IRS. Who files early gets refunded early. And there are lots of legit ways to boost your tax refund in 2023. The tax professionals at Wealth Management Financial Advisors will find every credit and deduction you deserve so you get your largest possible refund. I'm not kidding. You could double your refund just by filing at Wealth Management Financial Advisors. Big chain tax filing companies use a one-size-fits-all formula that leaves money on the table. Don't wait until recession or procrastination take a bite out of your budget. Book an appointment now at wealthmanagementlb.com or by calling 562-427-8877. That's 562-427-8877. Visit wealthmanagementlb.com.
The movie moved you, but the stage play will blow you away.
Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
It's Jacarius Johnson's New Jack City, live on stage. Nino Brown.
Times like these, people want to get hot, real high and real fast.
G-Money.
They be going crazy over this, man.
They were at the top of their game.
You was living for the money.
But when loyalty and trust takes a hit,
You act like I owe you something. You do. I don't owe you jack.
so does survival.
CMB, man, we all we got. Go $5 ass down before I make change.
Rock a bomb, baby.
It's Jacarius Johnson's New Jack City, live on stage, starring Big Daddy Kane, Stretch from Naughty by Nature, Flex Alexander, the original G-Money, Alan Payne, and Gary Dordan. January 20th through 22nd at the Orpheum Theater. Tickets at Ticketmaster and Jacarius.com.
It's crazy calling me, man. They calling me, man.
A Jacarius Entertainment production.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. It's normal. With CalHope's free and secure mental health resources, it's easy to get the help you and your loved ones need when you need it the most. Call our warm line at 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, I appreciate you. And you know what, Sherri, I have to say I appreciate you. You always come in person so the folks on YouTube can see you, or almost always when you can. And yeah, you just always have a lot to contribute. So I appreciate you, my sister friend. A lot of people don't realize this, and I even had a neighbor getting mad at me for putting a pizza box. Yes, I had a pizza. What about it? In the green bin. But apparently now all of your food scraps, and I say apparently, I've been knowing this, because when I found out that our landfills are like 60% food waste.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Like the majority of that waste is food waste. That means if we were recycling it and composting it, we could really reduce the size of those dumps, which eventually will take over the whole planet. So to me, it's good news, but people just don't know it. I think you can't put like rib bones, but like any, food scraps that are not meat can go in that green.
Like old vegetables.
Old vegetables, bread, cheese, anything like that. And food soiled paper. That's why my pizza box was cool, so don't hate.
And it's cardboard.
Right. It's going to disintegrate right in there with the food. This is from Senate Bill 1383. A lot of people don't know about it, but that actually mandated that that these regions start reducing their organic waste disposals. So we're supposed to reduce it by 75% by 2075. A lot of people don't want to do it because they don't want to keep food scraps separate. To me, even if you don't do it all the time, like just get... Like when you're making a big masterpiece of a meal, get a paper bag or something and put all the food scraps in there and then just take it out to the green.
No, yeah, it definitely makes sense. I'm happy that they're doing it. I've been hearing about composting for years, and I also been hearing about are landfills actually trash getting shipped overseas because it's too much
Right.
trash. So
And now they're not accepting it anymore.
oh my gosh,
You know, they have enough of our plastic and our trash, so that can be a big problem. Actually, according to the LA Times, I'm looking at this right here, it says that you can put meat. So that's new. Fruits, vegetables, dairy, stale bread, and old meat. Okay, sounds like pizza.
Yeah, I'll be interested to learn more about like what happens after it, because like you would think it'd create more jobs and stuff because they have to like separate and do other things.
I have a feeling they grind all that up into some disgusting organic matter, which, you know, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I mean, that's the idea of composting. Is like you're making dirt, but it's fertile dirt or something. I don't know. I'm not a farmer, but I think it's good news because when you think about the volume of junk that we're and we waste so much food.
I mean, I personally feel guilty every time I have to throw something away because it spoils. So now I can feel a little better about it, at least going back to help the environment, maybe, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm laughing because I do the same, you know, especially when you just had DoorDash and now you
start looking
and now
nasty, the
everything
stuff
that's
in
actually you should have been cooking is now nasty.
Right.
So yeah, it's, you know, I think the reason I wanted to talk about it is because a lot of people don't know about it, and it's time for us to start participating. We're talking more about Keenan Anderson next hour. There's been a lot of protests. I'm happy to see people, you know, reactivating around reimagining police after this 31-year-old teacher was repeatedly tased by the LAPD and died shortly thereafter. Yeah. You said you kind of had a brush with him, or your family did?
Yeah. My nephew was a senior last year. He went to New Charter Design High School in Watts, and Keenan Anderson was actually my nephew's teacher.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's a small world that connection was made. I know that he, you know, just the fact that my nephew was a student, like how many other folks that he touched, and you know, just thinking about life in general and like the different issues that people come across in life, the different successes people come across in life, and you know, it's a sad situation. But when you look at the, I know you're going to talk about it, but when you look at the video, I think like the biggest problem I feel, one of the biggest problems I feel, is the approach that law enforcement has towards people of certain races and even genders, right? Like the way that they even approach and handle the situation determines how the outcome is. And I mean, it's just like whether the fact that whatever they tased him, you know, was wrong, I could say you cannot disagree that they did tased him too much.
Yeah.
That, I mean, you can see it. They overdid it.
And they were doing it out of anger. They clearly were not
like
doing
a
it.
child.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to control the suspect because I'm being professional. It was like, you know, do what I say.
Right, like your mom or somebody would be like, you run, I'm going to whoop you harder. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know, like there was like, be quiet. And then he was already down. You already had him in a position. And then because they, you know, he didn't do like, you know, something that you, just because you said it, it wasn't necessary, you know, and then you just, you abused the power, really. Exactly. That's what I saw.
Yeah. You spent a lot of time. I don't know. Have you talked to your nephew at all about it? Because, I mean, it just seems like I was thinking that he was teaching in D.C., which is where he was doing when he passed.
Right.
When he was killed, when he was murdered. But I guess recently he must have been teaching here. So that means you got kids on both coasts that are being impacted by this.
Yeah, no, I haven't spoken to my nephew about that. I do plan on it. I know it's a sensitive topic, being that he is an 18-year-old black man in Los Angeles, which is very like nerve-wracking to have a young black man, especially if they have a driver's license.
Yeah.
You know, it's very hard because all that happened due to a traffic stop. The same with Philando Castile and Deshaun, right? Like all of these traffic-related deaths from law enforcement that didn't have to be such. So, yeah, he's planning on getting his driver's license soon, and I'm very concerned. I mean, you know, we all should be. That's why I heard you talk about it on the show. Like, we don't need people with guns to stop expired tags or certain things.
Yeah.
I know that was a wreck and it was a car accident. It was a little different, but
there's two things about it. Yeah, it was a wreck, but the other thing it was also apparently a mental health situation too. So those are two different situations where we would be better off with people that specialize in that responding. And I know that's one of the family's demands that have been put forth by Black Lives Matter is take cops out of traffic stops and other places they don't belong. And that's, you know, the city of Berkeley and some other cities have done that, where they have these traffic divisions that are not part of police departments. They're a totally separate civilian agency that goes around and gives hey, your headlights out. Why do you need a gun for that? Okay, fine, I'll fix it.
Yeah, why can't you just mail the ticket to their house? Like, you know that, like, where they live, because the registration, you know, they at least registered it, unless it's really, really expired. But, you know, like, you could just mail them a ticket. You don't even have to pull them over if you don't, you know. But, yeah.
And so many of those are fishing expeditions where it's really an excuse. I remember when I hosted a show called Street Science, my first L.A. show, we did a broadcast out on Crenshaw. There was a parking lot next to Wiener Schnitzel. Now it's a bunch of businesses, but back then it was a big parking lot. And we did lowriders, and it was amazing. All these people came out. I mean, people brought their lowriders, and we were talking on the radio. And so many people just got arrested for a taillight out or your hydraulics. And they're really fishing expeditions. So I think that's one of the reasons why you get resistance from law enforcement to stepping away from those.
Right, it's the whole approach. I've seen videos where they pulled over a Caucasian gentleman, and he said, no, I don't have to listen to you, and just drove off.
Right, and didn't die.
So I'm just like, what I'm curious to see, and I know you're going to talk about this later, but like we see the body cams of when LAPD or, you know, sheriffs pull over and stop somebody when there's an officer involved shooting. What I would like to see is like when they pull over somebody who is not black and there's no incident, how do they approach them? I'm curious because we don't get to see that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen some video, but you're right. It's like a separate universe. And we have seen, I remember there was a woman in Hollywood that was on a roof or something, ranting and raving. Well, if she was black, she would have been dead. I mean, we've seen those videos, like you said, white people talking back at traffic stops, fleeing, all kinds of things, beating on police officers. And that's why we know it's not just the training. Actually, when we come forward, maybe we'll touch on this. And you're right, we are going to talk about it next hour, but what the family wants to say may be different than what we're bringing up now, and I think it bears repeating. Say his name, Keenan Anderson. This statement by the LA Police Union saying no, it was the victim, or as they call them, suspects, who escalated the situation, and not the officers. What's wrong with that picture? We'll talk about it when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Governor Newsom's first budget praised by elected officials under California's new Black Director of Finance. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by CaliforniaBlackMedia.org. Early January, Governor Newsom presented his first draft of the 2023 to 2024 budget for California. Senator Steve Bradford said the state's more cautious spending plan is a step in the right direction. He added that he will continue to fight to fund priorities that are critical to marginalized and vulnerable communities. Chair of the CLBC, Lori Wilson, praised the budget's $300 million allocation to K-12 education. The governor also evoked Prop 98, which requires a minimum funding for community colleges. After education, the second highest funded priority at 23.4% was health services. If approved, some of the money will go toward mental health programs. For more on the state budget, visit gov.ca.gov.
adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is everyday.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Wondering if you should get the updated COVID-19 booster? Here are 3 reasons why you should. 1. Vaccines and boosters provide better protection from COVID-19. 2. Even if you've had COVID-19 before, boosters are recommended to keep your immunity strong, especially as new variants emerge. And 3, your risk of getting very sick from COVID-19 goes up with age, and boosters can help lower the chance of hospitalization and death. Find a booster near you at myturn.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Time flies when you're talking about things. Sherri Bell is with me. Hey, by the way, please follow us. We're KBLA 1580 on all social media platforms, including YouTube, where we're streaming live right now. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. Please like, subscribe, and all that. And what about you, Ms. Bell? You want them to like, subscribe, or you want them to just stop trolling you and leave you alone?
I know, right? I mean, I just have a very boring, basic Instagram, Sherri De La Ghetto. That's me.
Your posts never seem boring to me, but so we're talking about Keenan Anderson, and we'll continue that next hour with his family. But the Police Protective League, the union, or as I like to call them, police cartel, says that all 3 of the people who were killed by the LAPD in January, it was their own fault. That's what they say. That they claim that the officers engaged in de-escalation tactics that embody the best practices of attempting to build rapport. I'm reading right now. Calmly engaging the suspects to attempt to secure compliance and reduce the likelihood of any use of force. They're talking about Keenan Anderson, Takar Smith, and Oscar Leon Sanchez. They are saying, basically, it's their fault. We did what we were supposed to do. I didn't see de-escalation in the video. I mean, do you mean by de-escalation, you mean you didn't shoot them to death? I'm not, I'm not really sure what that means, but I do know, I don't expect them to say anything else.
I mean, they're looking out for their best interests. That's their spokesperson. I mean, we haven't even seen the entirety of the video, uncut, unedited.
Right.
So we still waiting to see that. But it's a shame how, the victim is constantly blamed, and how these stories seem to have the same, beginning, middle, and end. And not blaming or not putting accountability on oneself. I mean, it's sad that there is such a lack of accountability in their own procedures, which I personally am not too privy to. I just don't know if there's a lot of accountability. Transparency. I don't know if there's a lot of transparency to the public on what is their standard operating procedures, or the summary of their procedures when they approach certain situations. Like, how do we even know that they're following what they're supposed to be?
I mean, from what I can tell, they have a lot of wiggle room, right? There are more guidelines than you can do it this many times. You're not supposed to do it excessively. Well, one person's excessive is another person's, mild. So.
Right, and you telling somebody to stop and stop and stop and stop because you don't know what else to say or do. I don't know if that's really considered de-escalation. I mean, honestly, the gentleman was unarmed. It was a car accident. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if anybody was hurt. I don't know. It doesn't appear so. I haven't heard anything about it. But it's like, just like with these high-speed chases and how they kill innocent people when you got the helicopter on them. And it's just property. It's just a car, and it's like the way you approach things. is not really being evaluated, and it's no reflection on, okay, this keeps occurring. How can we avoid it, other than the fact that nothing we're doing is wrong?
Yeah, right. Which is always the answer that we hear. It is, interesting. They specifically push back against Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson, who is wanting to put forth a proposal similar to the city of Berkeley that would take armed officers out of traffic stops. The union says no. And as they're pointing out, as you said, well, this was an accident, so it was a little different. But they go further than that and say, no, we don't want you to make that move. So that kind of progress, if that's going to happen, is going to have to happen instead of with the collaboration of the Los Angeles Police Protective League. I want to talk jobs because you are a labor organizer. When we come forward, this wave of layoffs in the tech sector, what does it mean? Where are the jobs at? It's KBLA Talk 1580.
We may be LA's newest talk station, but when you're punching above your weight, it's not about whether you can throw a punch. Can you take a punch? We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. And we don't black down. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
Yes, so I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend if you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
That Big Bargain detergent jug is 85% water, right?
85% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
The show is First Things First. I'm Dominique DiPrima here with Sherri Bell. And, you've spent a lot of time as an organizer. You were a big part of the fight for 15. I think now we got to go to the fight for 30.
Right. That's what they say you really need.
What you really need, right. But a lot of places, especially tech sector, are laying off. Microsoft is cutting 5% of its workforce. 10,000 jobs across the country. Netflix, Peloton, Twitter also laying people off. Amazon, 6% of their workforce they've announced they're cutting, which is 18,000 jobs. That's globally. And, Google with 10,000 jobs. They said that, they're having a tough economic cycle. That's what Microsoft said. Microsoft said they hired people during the pandemic, but Google and others are saying, well, it's just a tough economy. At the same time, I'm hearing employers complaining that they can't find workers, or workers want too much money, or they don't want to come into work. Right. They want to work remotely. I find that confusing.
Yeah, very confusing. I'm not sure if, the reason that they're providing is genuine. Maybe I don't, and then like you talk about like labor, like I don't know if any of these places have unions, right?
Well, yeah, because I know some Amazon workers have been trying to unionize, and they've had limited success with really harsh tactics from the company.
Right. Yes.
I don't know about Microsoft or Google, but at least Google is doing decent severance packages, unlike some of these other folks.
Mm-hmm.
That said, maybe it seems to be hitting tech harder than other industries.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like, I don't want to say, remember the .com crash?
.com. Yeah.
Bust.
Yeah. It was huge.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like expansion too quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe I don't know if a demand for wages. Like,
well, yeah, I think that's right. I also think this is just my theory, but I feel like these companies have gotten their shareholders used to this enormous growth and profit margin. Mm-hmm. And you see this across the corporate sector where they're often putting the any growth initiative on the backs of the workers. So it's never shareholders, can you take 1% less because we're in an economic downturn.
Oh, wow.
These corporate profit margins are so wide. And it's never like, well, the CEO is going to take this much many millions of dollars. The gap between CEO pay and worker pay gets broader and broader.
Yes.
And the expected returns on investment for those stockholders gets bigger and bigger. So I wonder if that's a factor.
Wow, that is a great point. And it also makes me think about the fact that a lot of these companies don't pay their fair share in taxes in the first place, and like creates this whole economy where we have a lack of funds to help people that are in need.
Amazon is a case, textbook case of that.
Right. They it's like a loophole in the tax code that taxes income, but that taxes income but doesn't tax the wealth. Right. So a lot of these companies are able to get those big old margins for their investors and keep the billionaires and millionaires while the working force is paying the price with layoffs and low wages and things like that. So it's just like a continuing practice of profits over people, so to speak.
Yeah, we like to call that predatory capitalism. Sherri Bell, thank you so much for being here. The hour flies by when you're in the building.
It sure did.
All right. We're going to be talking with Patrice Cullors and Dominique Anderson, the family of Keenan Anderson, when we come forward after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.